We've talked about creating line bodies from lower topology geometry, and here we're moving up a step to create surface bodies, also from lower topology geometry. Here we can see the option to create surface bodies from edges, and that can be accessed by the concept menu and dropping down to surfaces from edges, which will create a new operation on the left hand side of the design modeler screen. So this will create a surface body using a line body set of edges as the boundary, and these body edges must form a non-intersecting loop in order to correctly define the surface body. Each loop will create a surface body of a type frozen, and we can see some examples here of creating a planar surface and also a non-planar surface as shown on the right hand side. You'll also see some additional options in the details view on the bottom left hand side of the design modeler screen. These options are for flipping the surface normals, so it allows us to flip the normal if it's facing in the incorrect direction, and also an option to create a non-zero thickness for the surface body if that's indeed needed for the subsequent FE model. It's also possible to create surface bodies from edges, which is another option available, and the edges selected can be solid or line body edges, and the edges must produce, of course, a non-intersecting loop in order to define the surface body correctly. So here we have a solid body, and we're selecting the edges that are associated with this solid body in order to create a new surface body. So here in the details view we see the edge list. We click on the edge list, we select all of the edges to be used in the creation of the surface body, and then we apply and generate in order to create the new surface body. On the right hand side we can see the new surface body, and the original solid body which was in part used to create and define this surface body has now been suppressed or is hidden. It's also possible to create surfaces or surface bodies from using existing edges as well. So the example here shows two surface bodies and a line body which is intermediate and shared by each of these two surface bodies. If we create a surface body by calling the two previous surface bodies, and the line body sits in between the two surface bodies, that will then allow us to construct a continuous mesh at the surface interface, and we can see here that the surface mesh is continuous across the two original surface bodies. So in this case the line body that was running down the middle here was purely acting as a method to ensure a continuous mesh across the two original surface bodies. It's also possible to generate surface bodies from sketches. We can go to the concept menu, which is shown here, and drop down to surfaces from sketches. This allows us, once we select the individual sketch to be used for the surface body creation under base object, allows us to directly move from the sketch into creating a surface body. And we still have some of the usual options to add material or add frozen, orient with plain normal with yes or no, and also define a thickness where necessary.